anything like us, or, well, frankly, anyone living in the 21st century, you probably feel this constant battle.
That you're behind.
Exactly, that you're always behind. You've got these huge goals. Life feels like it's just speeding up, and there's this, I don't know, this low-level hum of anxiety about what you're achieving.
Yeah, and that's the sound of our product-oriented culture.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah.
It is so mentally and spiritually exhausting. We're just conditioned to race to the finish line, you know?
Right.
We're only focused on the outcome, the promotion, the finished project, whatever it is, and we miss the entire point of the journey, which is where the real growth is supposed to happen.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, we are grabbing a serious antidote to that modern stress. It's Thomas M. Sterner's really influential book, The Practicing Mind.
Fantastic book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to explore this really powerful shift in perspective he offers.
Yeah.
How embracing the process of deliberate mindful practice instead of obsessing over the end result can lead to mastery, sure, but also to like genuine fulfillment and some inner peace.
And what's so fascinating is that the book, on the surface, looks like a guide to skill development, you know, learning an instrument or a craft. But it's fundamentally a manual for mindful living. Sterner uses his experience as a performance coach to show that mastery just comes from immersing yourself in the journey. It's all about being completely present.
Okay, let's unpack that foundation then, because this idea of the practicing mind it's a lot more than just vaguely being present. He's very specific about it in the first couple of chapters.
Yes.
What does that state actually feel like? What does it do for you?
He describes it as quiet, like the internal noise, the chatter, it's just gone. And you're rooted firmly in the present moment. And crucially, he says it has this laser pinpoint focus and accuracy.
So the opposite of our scattered multitasking brains.
The exact opposite. And when you cultivate this state, it naturally gives you self-discipline, self-awareness, and a really profound patience, not just with things around you, but with yourself, with your own slow progress.
That immediately changes the whole conversation about discipline, right? It's not about gritting your teeth and just white-knuckling it.
Not at all.
It's a natural byproduct of being focused. And Sterner's own story with learning the guitar, it just shows how easy it is to get this wrong.
Oh, totally. He was good. He started at 4 years old, but he quit for years. And why? Because he just didn't enjoy the practice. He was focused on the product, you know, the external validation of being good at guitar.
The ultimate failure to launch. You get that spark of inspiration, but if you don't know how to practice, you just burn out.
And it wasn't until his mid-30s that it clicked. He realized his frustration wasn't about the instrument or his talent. It was a total lack of understanding of proper practice mechanics.
The how.
Exactly, the how. He realized that this focused, calm mind is the only remedy to modern multitasking, which, I mean, it just fragments our attention and disconnects us from what we're actually doing.
Which brings us to his core philosophy, and this really does flip our entire society on its head. Process, not product. We live in a world that rewards only the product, the grade, the sale.
Right, the completed report.
Why is that so toxic, according to him?
Because it forces us to live in the future. Always.
Yeah.
We make the result the goal instead of making the act of getting there the goal. And that constant anticipation of a future outcome is precisely what creates stress and anxiety. We're always judging the gap between where we are now and where we want to be.
But he points out this amazing paradox. When you deliberately shift your focus to the present, to the process, the anxiety just vanishes. Why is that?
Because you take away the judgment. You're actually fulfilling your goal right now by just paying attention to the task at hand. When you concentrate only on the process, the pressure drops, enjoyment goes up, and the product, the outcome, it just takes care of itself with what he calls fluid ease.
So if I'm trying to learn a new language, instead of stressing about being fluent by next year, I just focus on pronouncing this one syllable correctly. And the fluency just becomes this inevitable byproduct of a million tiny correct moments.
Precisely. And he makes a really important distinction here between practice and learning. He says, practice is deliberate, it's intentional, it's aware, it's aimed at a specific goal. Learning, on the other hand, can just happen passively. You absorb things.
Right.
But that consistent, intentional practice is what forges the neural pathways for mastery. Passive learning will never get you there.
That's such a key distinction. Okay, let's talk about the barriers, because focus on the process sounds great in theory, but you know, the anxiety of perfection and the fear of failure, they derail us constantly.
They do. Sterner argues that most of our anxiety comes from this unrealistic chase for perfection, which is really just driven by comparison.
Comparing ourselves to these impossible ideals we see everywhere.
Exactly. Ideals that are often static, like frozen images from advertising that
Yeah.
tell you happiness is some fixed destination you arrive at.
Which is such a setup for failure. He says if you use ideals as inspiration like a lighthouse, they're great. But the moment they become a measuring device...
That's your downfall.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have to completely recalibrate what we even mean by perfection. He says true perfection isn't static. It's dynamic. It's limitless. It's always in motion, always expanding. It's a journey, not a destination.
The flower analogy really drove this home for me. That was a huge aha moment in the book.
It's the perfect illustration, isn't it? I mean, think about it. A flower is always perfect in its current stage. A seed is a perfect seed. A bud is a perfect bud. The full bloom is a perfect bloom.
Right, it's not judging itself.
It's not. But that's what we do. We judge our seed stage against someone else's full bloom stage and feel
Yeah.
miserable.
And so fulfillment comes from just appreciating where you are on the journey. This connects right into patience. He says impatience is the first sign you're not in the present.
It is. Impatience is fundamentally a desire for the now to be different. You want it to be faster, or you want it to be over. And worry is the same thing. It's just anticipating the future, which scatters all your energy.
So if you can let go of your attachment to that future thing, that product, and instead make the experience of staying focused your goal.
And you're succeeding every single minute.
Yes, that shift is everything.
It is. It moves your satisfaction from some distant hypothetical future to the effort you're putting in right now.
Yeah.
The work itself becomes the reward.
Okay, this brings us to the practical toolkit. How do we actually do this? It starts with awareness and habits. Because as he says, you can't change what you're not aware of.
Precisely. So many people are just disconnected from their own thoughts. They don't have thoughts. They are their thoughts.
Oh.
It's just a chaotic stream.
So what's the fix?
To regain control, he says you have to consciously adopt the role of an instructor.
I love that framing. It's so practical. The instructor watches the student, which is you, doing the thing without judgment or emotion.
Mm-hmm. You're just observing the execution. You're not getting tangled up in the frustration or the expectations.
So the instructor is just asking, did that work? Why not? While the ego is screaming, why am I so bad at this?
That's a critical separation. The instructor is about technical correction. The ego is about emotional turmoil. And that's how you realize that all your actions, mental or physical, are just habits.
And once you see them as habits, you get this liberating realization that you can choose your habits. You can create new ones through intentional repetition.
It means we're always practicing something. We just need a structure to make sure we're practicing the right things. And that brings us to the ultimate toolkit, the 4 S words.
Right. These are designed to keep us from getting overwhelmed.
Yes, they are simplify, small, short, and slow. Let's start with simplify.
So breaking a task down into the absolute smallest, most manageable pieces. Don't clean the garage, just clean the corner with the tools.
Exactly. It prevents those big, unrealistic goals that just invite frustration. And then you have small.
Which is about focusing on tiny segments for repeatable success. So instead of I'm going to run a marathon, it's I'm going to run 1 mile 3 times this week.
Right. You get that instant, tangible success that your brain craves. Next up is short.
Committing to short, focused bursts of work. Maybe 45 minutes on one thing, 0 distractions. It makes a huge project feel less huge. You only have to be focused for the next 45 minutes.
And finally, and this is maybe the hardest one for us, is slow. Sterner insists that working at a deliberate, slower pace forces you to pay attention to detail. It lowers stress. And paradoxically, it makes you more efficient.
Because you're not constantly going back to fix sloppy mistakes you made in a rush.
You're not. It is the ultimate rebellion against hustle culture. It transforms work from a race into, well, a kind of meditation.
And when you apply these 4 S's, you build the foundation for what he talks about next, which is achieving equanimity.
Right. That state of calmness, of even-temperedness. He says it's essential for happiness, and you develop it through the conscious practice of non-judgment.
Because judgments are just these continuous emotionally charged comparisons.
Mm-hmm. Your brain takes what's happening now and weighs it against the past or some future ideal or what someone else is doing. And that constant comparison is what leads to emotional distress.
So if I miss a golf shot, the judgmental mind says, you're terrible.
But the practicing mind, the observer, just says, your elbow flicks too early. Noted.
It's just data.
It's just data.
Yeah.
And non-judgment helps you align with that quiet, objective observer, your true self, and separate from the judging ego. That separation is equanimity.
Okay, so once you're in that objective state, you can use his most efficient tool for daily application, DOC.
Do, observe, correct. It's the engine of the whole system. First, you do the thing, you engage in the task.
close enough.
Second, you observe the results, you evaluate how it went, and here's the key. Without judgment. No emotional baggage.
So if a product launch fails, the observer doesn't panic. It just collects data on what went wrong.
Precisely. And only then do you move to step 3. Correct. You make objective adjustments based on what you observed, free from all that emotional interference. It builds incredible mental resilience.
This has been a really amazing breakdown of Starner's philosophy. We've covered the shift to process, dynamic perfection, and the practical tools awareness, the 4 S's DOC. So before we wrap, what are the big picture takeaways?
Well, he gives us a wonderful reminder in Chapter 8 that we can learn a lot from children. They naturally live in the present. They experience time more slowly. They're emotionally honest.
They're not worried about their 5-year plan.
Not at all. And we can learn from that presence while also teaching them discipline by modeling healthy ways to cope. It's a two-way street.
That makes a lot of sense. And his final challenge is so profound. Your skills are always growing. The question isn't if they're growing.
It's in which direction. Every single moment is contributing to the growth of some skill. And he connects this to a bigger spiritual truth. That the things you acquire internally, like patience and focus, they expand your true self and they last forever. Unlike, material things.
That is the ultimate way to measure progress. So we'll leave you with this to think about. Are you prioritizing the skills that build your lasting internal self, your patience, your focus? Or are you maybe too focused on the temporary external goals that just leave you exposed to all that societal stress?
And as a starting point, maybe just pick one small, simple thing this week. It could be a chore, it could be answering emails, and just try to apply the slow principle and the DOC technique. Just see if you can transform that one experience by being fully present in the process.
Thank you so much for sharing your sources with us for this deep dive into the practicing mind. We hope this helps you shift your focus, find your inner instructor, and experience a little more peace in your daily practice of life.